President Biden's third day in office was all about the economy. He's pushing forward on his $1.9 trillion stimulus plan. Take a listen to what he said.
A lot of America is hurting. The virus is surging. We're 400,000 dead, expected to reach well over 600,000. Families are going hungry. People are at risk of being evicted. Job losses are mounting again. We need to act. No matter how you look at it, we need to act. If we act now, our economy will be stronger in both the short and long run.
Pretty grim backdrop there. No wonder he's pushing for urgency. So joining us now to discuss Biden's economic agenda is our Madison Mills. Maddie, start us off by walking us through Biden's effort to get this COVID aid plan through. What is exactly his strategy for getting this done?
So, Scarlett, we can't stress enough what a huge package Biden is trying to push forward here. It's really ambitious, one of the largest in U.S. history. So he's going to have to really get a lot of GOP members on board if he wants to get this done. So the question is, how is he going to do it, right? Well, he has a call with about 16 GOP members on Sunday that aides have said he will potentially join to try and push forward this plan. But really today, what we heard from President Biden was an emotional call. He talked about the millions of Americans waiting in cars, waiting in line to get access to food, the huge amount of food insecurity in the U.S. And then he shared a personal anecdote as well. He talked about his father getting laid off when he was a child and how that affected his family firsthand. So hearing a lot of just empathy coming from President Biden, and he's hoping that
Empathizer in chief, certainly a contrast to what we saw with the last administration. Joe Biden has stressed the need for unity, working together across the aisle. You mentioned that he will be meeting with Republicans. Do we have a sense of whether Republicans support his proposals?
Sure. So we are hearing from a lot of GOP members that they are not huge fans of this stimulus package. A lot of them have said, look, we just passed a $900 billion package last month. So do we really need to dive right into another one so quickly? Others spoke with Bloomberg reporters and said that they don't hate every part of the stimulus plan. They like the vaccine funding that Biden has set aside, but that's basically it. They like the idea of putting money aside for vaccines because that would get us past this pandemic, which is hurting our economy so much, of course. But they don't like the idea of providing additional stimulus checks directly into the pockets of Americans again so quickly. So Biden is going to have to do a lot of extra legwork here to get these Republican senators on board with those cash payments.
And that will take time, which he doesn't have a whole lot of, which is why, in the end, a lot of presidents end up having to resort to executive orders. He's got a slew of other executive action plans aimed at helping people and businesses that are in need of the most help. Walk us through some of that.
Right. So today we saw Biden sign two more executive orders, the first of which focusing on food insecurity, which, again, he talked about a lot today. He wants to call on the Department of Agriculture to get their assistance providing food to these families that really need help, particularly those who are used to feeding their children through school lunches primarily. Right. And children aren't going to school right now. So calling on the Department of Agriculture for help with that. He also wants to expand SNAP eligibility, making sure more Americans have access to food stamps. And his second executive order focused on minimum wage. He wants to make sure that federal government contractors have a $15 an hour bare minimum wage. And this is something that we can expect to see more of from Biden's economic agenda moving forward. And lastly, I want to point out that Biden also focused on small businesses and equity in funding for small businesses. He talked a lot about how in the first stimulus package that was doled out, a lot of the PPP went to small businesses owned by white individuals. He wants to make sure that communities of color are getting the proper outreach needed to get access to their own funding and to make sure that that funding is equitable moving forward.
So it's really critical here for the Biden administration to get as much done as possible in the first 100 days, and he's made clear that that's his priority. How's this all going to work when Nancy Pelosi says that she's going to send the article of impeachment against former President Trump to the Senate on Monday, and we could be looking at a trial in February?
Right, so Biden actually addressed this head on at the end of his remarks today. A reporter called after him and said, what's the deal with this impeachment trial starting in February? And he actually thanked senators for focusing on confirming some of his appointees early on. He again reiterated the idea that we are in crisis right now, that we need to act quickly to make sure that Americans have food on the table and that they're kept safe and healthy. So he is perfectly comfortable delaying impeachment to February and potentially even further.
All right, good stuff. Maddie, thank you so much. Maddie Mills with the latest on what Biden is working on.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.